I was talking with a client the other day, and he came to me and he said, "John, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I've got all these concerns, yada yada yada." He kept going on for a few minutes. Kind of let him talk for a few minutes, and then I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Stop, stop, stop! Everything that you're talking about is in the future. None of this has actually occurred." And then he kind of looked at me and he said, "Well, what do you mean? None of it's actually occurred." But you know what? We're going to get back to that in just a second. But in the meantime, I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of John the PM, where we believe that managing projects is not just a job, but a way of life. Let me get back to the scenario. Again, I was on a coaching call, and the individual expressed a lot of concerns about the future. His concerns were very valid. I cannot deny them. Some very, very real issues that may actually transpire were out in the horizon. And he could clearly see that. So kudos for him for thinking about it. But where the issue and the concern was overreacting to it. So just to be clear, risk is a level of uncertainty. The risk has never occurred. Now, if it does occur, we would call it an issue. Some people call it incident, but it's something that has actually done the issue or incident. So again, the risk hasn't occurred. The issue or incident has occurred. If it has occurred, then you have to do something about it. So the risk is forward looking. Risk causes a lot of stress to people, to include myself, because you people do not like not knowing something. So if there's a wide range of possibilities that it could occur, they feel uneased about that. That's how come sometimes when you know exactly what's going to happen, even though it's a negative event, something catastrophic, it doesn't really matter. But negative, and it actually has less stress on people's lives. So again, it's that not knowing. So what can we do about that? A couple of things. One is that to the extent possible, get from the unknown to the known. Yeah, to the extent possible, so that you actually know what you're dealing with. Now, keep in mind that there are such things as positive risk and negative risk. So not everything is negative, but again, if it's positive, what is it? Again, trying to shrink the unknown to get it to something that we can actually deal with. Once you actually know what it is, you can actually do something about it. Now, outside of that, then classically, you do want to kind of mitigate those risks. Or at least that's what we're going to talk about here today. And this is what I'm kind of talking about with my friend, my client, as we're kind of going through his particular scenario. And his particular scenario is really on the business side. And here are a couple of thoughts. One is to kind of make sure that you have multiple streams of income, so that if one client goes away, you still have another. Or if one vector goes away, you still have another. So you always want to kind of make sure that your overarching portfolio is somewhat balanced and not just hinge on one particular item. And you might need to really go through all of your businesses, in regards to that. Another idea is sometimes if you feel like there's going to be an actual issue and or concern that's going to come, and you want to reduce the amount of impact that it has on your enterprise, on your corporate, is to actually establish another entity. And with that, you just move this high risk, this level of uncertainty project into that entity, so that if something goes wrong, it's only that entity, the new one, that suffers the repercussions, both positive and negative, as a matter of fact. So be careful, in regards to that and how that might transcribe out in the future. But again, those are some different options. There's another option that I like to also present, and one is really kind of keeping enough proverbial gas in the proverbial gas tank. What do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about the personal individual self. Making sure that you get enough sleep, making sure that you get enough food and nutrition, exercise, taking care of your physical self, so that it is at its best. So that when something actually does occur, then you are well suited in order to take care of it. That's the same thing on businesses. So during good times, you don't spend all your money, don't do all that, okay? But you pull some of it back into retained earnings, reserves, but we'll call them retained earnings, so that in case something good or bad occurs, then you have the resources to either take advantage of it if it's good, or the resources to take care of it if it's bad. So let's tie this down with an analogy, because I use gas tank. Okay, you have a car, you have gas in the car. When the tank is full, you have lots of different options of which gas station you go to. If you don't like this gas station, go to the next one. Don't like that gas station, go to the next one. Easy day. The closer that gas tank gets to E, and some of us have been there, every once in a while, very, very once in a while, you get down to that 25, 50 miles, left and so forth, and you're down this sketchy road, in the middle of like nowhere. And there's this one gas station where you can barely see the lights, it's like flickering. But you know what? You really don't have a whole lot of choice here, because if you pass that one gas station and you don't know where the next one is, you have potential to run out of gas, and then you got other problems. So you got to do what you got to do sometimes. But let's avoid those situations. Let's avoid those scenarios by having enough proverbial gas and the proverbial gas tank, so that if something does occur, whether it's good or bad, you actually have the resources in order to deal with it. I hope that helps. If it does, please hit the like, subscribe, share button. Me and my team would greatly appreciate it. Why? Because it helps us to be a better service back to you. In the meantime, may all of your projects and work be highly successful.